Let me first of all give you my general observation. I think in general terms I would say that I'm disappointed because I thought this is an opportunity for the government to redeem some of its lost glories and some of the things that they promised. But I can conclude that the budget is empty as long as I'm concerned. It is very empty. It's empty. I've reviewed it. I've had a privilege to read it. And then I can conclude that it is dead on arrival. Dead on arrival, and I'll give you the reason why I say it's dead on arrival. On the back of revenue, I have seen an overstatement of the revenue numbers to about 2.5% of GDP. Reason being, an overstatement. Yes, but this in the 2019 budget, they have overstated it by 2.5% of GDP. And I'll give you a reason why. In this year, 2018, they projected to do budget revenue of about 13.1% of GDP. It was subsequently revised to 13.0% of GDP. Out of that, as of September, they have recorded a deviation of about 2.4 billion Ghana cedis, representing approximately 1% of GDP. Okay? Now, all indications, they cannot meet the 13.1% of GDP or 13.0% of GDP on the revised budget. So give and take, they may do something in the region of 11.5 to 12% of GDP. This budget introduced only one single measure. And the measure was the withholding tax on mining, particularly the small-scale mining, and that they are going to now pay withholding tax at the point of export. You cannot introduce that measure and assume that your revenue is going to grow from 12% of GDP, let me be very charitable, 12% of GDP to approximately 15.5% of GDP without a measure. All things being equal, it can only stay where it is. Let me say that, yes, they have announced a number of compliance measures, but those compliance measures cannot bring in revenue in excess of 0.5% of GDP.
But why are you so pessimistic about
No,
what makes you so sure they can't?
You see, it is based on the record. I've given you the record, what is available. You see, oftentimes we make mistakes and say that the economy is growing, let's say, by 9% or 8%. And so the tax handles can grow by 9% or 8% in real terms. No, that is wrong. Look at the sectors that you collect your revenue. Look at the sectors that is growing. If economy is growing on the back of oil and you think you can get taxes from oil, it is almost impossible because some of them, they are new companies, they are now claiming their capital allowances and they are not making the required taxes. You see, so it is not happening. If, for instance, the economy is growing on the back of agriculture and you think you can go and tax the cocoa farmer and you think that is the way to do it, it's a mistake. You can't do that. You can't do that. And then on the back of some of the taxes that we mentioned, as part of our round table, we cautioned, and I held that interview with you. I cautioned against the PIT and said that the minister must listen to us because it is constraining the ordinary Ghanaian. Yeah. I thank him that he has listened to us, but I can assure you he has to listen to us the more.
Contracts that were signed by the previous government, which are still yet to be paid, are they not going to be sorted with that money?
That's what I'm saying. That, for instance, the contract that previous administration awarded and contractors have worked and they are yet to be paid, it's about 730 million.
Okay.
Those that has been abandoned, if they are to complete it, it's about 750 million. The two put together, let me say, it's about 1.5 billion.
Right.
Within 2017 and 2018, they have taken 1.6 billion from Get Fund. So that money alone would have been enough to pay for those abandoned jobs and also to pay the contractors. So it is because of their own policies that this thing has arisen. And so nobody can blame the previous administration. That is what I'm talking about.
So this is going to come to you for deliberation, obviously.
Thank you.
I wonder what exactly will be your steer? What's the big headline from the minority on this budget? What will you be seeking to achieve? What will you be seeking to achieve when you get it for deliberation?
For us, we are going to check the numbers. Because what we have seen here is that most of the statements that they have made are not supported by the fiscal. For example, they've said that they are going to borrow 3 billion euro bonds from the bond market. $3 billion. That 3 billion, if you go to the fiscal table, is 2 billion. The number of projects that they've announced is also not supported by the fiscal. And that is why I've said that this budget is dead on arrival. It is dead on arrival. I won't be surprised that in the mid-year, 2019, around June, the finance minister will come back to this house and revise all his numbers, because these numbers cannot be achieved. They are not achievable.
And that's the headline from the ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament, former Deputy Minister for Finance, Mr. Castle Ato Forson.
Yes.
I can't thank you enough for
It's
your
a grammar
time.
book, nothing more than that.
Indeed. He says the entire budget is empty and dead on arrival. Well, no doubt, analysis of this 2019 budget has only just begun. But it's time now for the pulse. I can hand you into the safe hands of Gifty Ando Apia, who will be with you until 5 p.m. But I thank you so much for being with us here in Parliament since morning. Now we know what the government plans to do with our economy for 2019. Did you see yourself in the budget? Let's talk about it in the coming days. My name is Kojo Yankson. Thank you for your time.